I think we all remember Whitney Houston's funeral. I mean, it was a global event. But the one moment that really sticks out, the most unforgettable part, was the eulogy from her co-star, Kevin Costner. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why that speech? Well, it's because in those 17 minutes, he told the world a profound truth about her that almost no one knew. A truth that was all about fame, this deep, deep insecurity, and a promise he'd made to her 20 years before.
So on a day that was filled with all these tributes to a musical icon, Kevin Costner gets up and tells a story, and that story completely changed how the world saw her. He basically answered a question that Whitney maybe could never answer for herself.
Okay, so picture this. We're in Newark, New Jersey. It's February 18th, 2012. We're at the New Hope Baptist Church, the very place where Whitney first found her voice. And the air is just thick with grief and, the smell of lilies. But there's also this tension. For years, the story around Whitney had been all about her struggles. The whole world was watching. And frankly, they were probably expecting a story about tragedy.
And that's really where our story kicks off. See, the world thought they were going to hear about the diva, the legend, maybe even the tragedy. But what they got was something else entirely, something so much more honest and human. They got the truth. And it was delivered by a friend you might not have expected.
And just like that, with one simple shift, Costner just strips away that larger-than-life persona. He didn't get up there to talk about the icon, the woman on the posters that the world had created. Nope. He was there to talk about the woman he actually knew, the one whose bravery was so incredible because she was so often so scared. So that begs the question, right? Why him? Why was he the one to tell this story? What gave him the right? Well, to really get that, we've got to go back. Way back. Back to the beginning of their friendship and a promise that would end up defining their entire relationship.
Think about it. It's 1991. Kevin Costner is like the biggest star on the planet. He could have had any actress he wanted for The Bodyguard, but he wanted Whitney, a singer with absolutely zero acting experience. And the studio, they were terrified. When Whitney herself started to back out, filled with all this doubt, Costner made her this simple, powerful promise that honestly changed everything.
And you know what? His promise wasn't just a bunch of nice words. He became her actual protector on that set. He was shielding her from nervous executives, from all the critical whispers. He wasn't just playing a bodyguard on screen. He was being one for her in real life. And that built this incredibly deep well of trust.
And it was exactly because of that trust that he was one of the few people let into the secret she hid from almost everyone else. This profound insecurity that just stood in such stark contrast to her powerful, confident public image.
You see, this truth he talked about wasn't some vague observation he made over the years. No, it was born from a very specific moment. A moment that happened during the super high-pressure screen test for the movie. A moment that Costner would remember vividly for the next 20 years.
And this is really the heart of it all. On one side, you've got the icon, Grammy Awards, global #1 hits, the woman they called the Voice. But on the other side, there was the human. This little voice inside her constantly whispering, am I good enough? Are they going to like me? I mean, it was an almost unbelievable disconnect, right? And this wasn't just, some pre-show jitters. Costner described it as something much deeper, an unyielding doubt. Can you imagine that? The woman with one of the greatest gifts of the century lived every day in the shadow of this constant nagging feeling that she just didn't measure up. So during that screen test, she gets so overwhelmed by this doubt that she runs to her trailer and just wipes off all the professional makeup. She was trying to get some control back, But when she came out with the makeup kind of running down her face, she just looked beautifully vulnerable. And in that exact moment, Costner saw it. He saw that her vulnerability wasn't a weakness at all. It was a crucial part of what made her so great.
Okay, so that brings us back to the funeral. And now, with this deep understanding of their bond, of that moment, we can see his eulogy for what it truly was. He wasn't just another celebrity getting up at the podium. He was the keeper of her truth, and he was there to finally share it with the world.
And boy, did he take his time. 17 minutes. I mean, in our age of sound bites and tweets, that is an eternity. It was a signal that this wasn't going to be a simple, she was great, we'll miss her. No, he was there to build an argument, to restore a legacy, and to tell her complete story. And he started by connecting with her on a really human level. He talked about their shared roots in the Baptist church. By making their connection so relatable, he made Whitney relatable. He reminded everyone that underneath all that superstardom, they shared the same foundations, the same kind of beginnings.
And then he delivered this line, which is just a truly revolutionary idea. He completely reframed her entire life. Her struggles, he said, weren't some separate failure, they were the price she paid for her genius. The very same thing that allowed her to soar was the same thing that weighed her down. They weren't separate things. They were two sides of the very same coin.
And this was the climax. He's speaking directly to Whitney now. He's answering that question that had plagued her ever since that screen test 2 decades ago. He gave her the validation in death that she so desperately looked for, but, rarely felt in life. It was just this final, powerful reassurance from her protector.
So why do we still talk about this eulogy all these years later? What makes it so different, so enduring? Well, it's because it was so much more than just a goodbye.
Really, it was this final act of protection. He humanized her. He honored her struggles as part of her brilliance. And he single-handedly shifted the entire public narrative away from that tabloid tragedy and toward a more complex, more dignified truth. In the end, he fulfilled that promise he made on that movie set all those years ago. He did not let her fall.
See, her greatness wasn't about being flawless. Her true heroism was in achieving that level of near perfection while privately being absolutely terrified of failing. Her fear doesn't diminish her accomplishments at all, it magnifies them.
The world lost a legend, a larger-than-life voice. But thanks to the honest, courageous truth shared by a true friend, she was remembered as something far more valuable, far more beautiful, a human being.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? All the people we put up on pedestals, our heroes, our icons, they all carry their own private burdens, their own unyielding doubts. So who is that person you admire? And what's the hidden truth that actually makes them even greater?